All right, our content today is it's actually from a pastor that I follow out in California, and the subject is three bad words that destroy guest experience. Three bad words that destroy guest experience. He tells this story. Him and his wife went out to, I think it was Monterey Bay. I think they were vacationing, and they decided to go for a bike ride, and they're going on this bike ride, and then they're exhausted. It's been about 15 miles. They pull into the next available place that's open, and they see what appears to look like a bike rack. They go up to begin attaching to the bike rack, and then they realize they're actually at Pebble Beach. And so Pebble Beach is one of the most prestigious places you can visit anywhere in the country. And so he's dirty, he's sweaty, and he's hooking up his bike rack to a mahogany, what appears to be a bike rack. And a man comes walking out in a three-piece suit because it's Pebble Beach. And he walks up to him and begins to talk to him. And here's what the pastor said. He said, immediately I felt like I was in the wrong place. I felt like I did not belong, and I felt like I was going to get kicked out. And he said what happens a lot of times is when people come into our organizations, people immediately feel like they're in the wrong place. They're going to get kicked out. They don't belong. They're not going to make it. And so the whole subject behind it was the way this man approached him is the way that we're supposed to approach new people coming into our organization. Remember this, the goal is always to increase the premium. Not to be right, not to be wrong. The goal is to increase the premium. The goal is not to push people away, but to draw people in. This doesn't mean that we tolerate junk, but it does mean we pay attention to the way we speak to people, and we pay attention to the way we make people feel. We get to determine our attitude and our actions, regardless of what they do to us. We get to determine how we respond to whatever they say. So you may be dealing with an agent today that is just annoying, getting on your nerves. I mean, there's certain people that just do that to us. You get to determine your attitude and your actions towards them. And remember, your job is to help your employer increase the premium. Your job is not to shove those people away. It's not to tolerate junk, but it's also not to hurt the company and hurt the organization. So whether you're talking to a client, a new agent, or an existing agent, you get to decide how you make them feel. And their actions should not determine your attitude. You should have a strong enough value system and belief in yourself that you choose what you're going to do regardless of what they do to you, because your purpose is stronger than their problems. So loving people gives you the right to help people. If you look over, I believe it's in Ephesians, Paul said that if you want to speak to somebody directly and help them, the first place that you have to do it from is a place of love. One of my counseling classes I just got done with and says if you're counseling someone, before you have the right to help them, you need to figure out how to love them. Because when you love them, you're helping them to help them to be better. It doesn't say you have to like them. There's a lot of people in this world that I do not like, but I definitely love. And so I don't have to like them, but I do have to love them. So three negative words, three bad words that can destroy guest experience. Number one, don't say can't. C-A-N-T. Don't say can't. Somebody asks you for something, say we can't do this or we can't do that. Or if somebody wants to go somewhere, you can't go there. Don't say can't. Instead, say these. Say welcome. People feel awkward in new environments. They a lot of times don't know what to ask for. They're joining your organization with fear that they're not going to be accepted, that they're not going to be approved. So when they ask you a question, instead of saying can't, you can say words like, we're so glad you're here. You're welcome to do this or to do this, instead of saying, hey, you can't do that. See, we don't have to respond in the same language that they respond to us in. We need to respond in a language that causes the premium to increase, not go down. So take the word can't and remove it out, replace it with welcome. Instead, say can. This doesn't mean that we accept their excuses. It doesn't mean say, well, that's okay that you're going to act that way. But it does mean that we redirect them on what we want them to do. Same thing with children. We do this all the time with children. We redirect their energy and we redirect their emotions, and we just got to remember to do this with people. Oftentimes what happens is when somebody calls in, and if you're staff, the first thing you do is you think they're mad about something or attacking about something, and they get on your nerves and you're trying to get on the phone with them. But the truth is, they may just feel out of place and awkward and need help. Your job is to make them feel welcome enough so that they produce for your organization. People perform when they feel like they're in a safe place. So you have the opportunity to make them feel safe. Safety doesn't mean that we don't deal with problems, but safety means we deal with problems instead of beating down people. And so it's learning between the two. So instead of saying can't, say can, or say better. Speak to people about their desires, not your desires. Figure out what it is that they want and help them get that. One of the ways that you can do this, Jeff Wright talks about often, is see things from their point of view. What are they trying to accomplish? What are they trying to get done? Because when you see things from their point of view, then it's easier for you to help them get where they're trying to go. You can achieve your desired outcome by appealing to their desires. One of the myths is, in order for me to get somebody to do what I want them to do, I have to shove them along the way. And that's not necessarily true. If I can help you get where you want to go by using my methods that will help me get where I'm trying to go, everybody is happy and everybody's successful. So when they call in or they come into the office or they're beginning to speak to you or talk to you, the first thing that you're thinking is, all right, let's not say can't, but let's welcome them into our family. Let's say things like, hey, you can do this, and this is a really good option for you. Or say, here's a better way to do this, or there's a better opportunity right here. Can I show that to you? And so instead of having a negative word, turn around to a positive word. It takes practice because we've taught ourselves to be negative in our responses, mostly because everybody's afraid of being sold something. If you went to my house right now and you knocked on the door trying to sell something, my wife immediately wants to tell you she can't or she will not. Why? Because everybody's afraid to be sold something. So you've got to get your mindset out of that. They're coming to you for help, not coming to you to sell you on something. So let's help them move forward, because when they move forward, that increases your premium, which is how your company does better. So number one, don't say can't. Number two, don't say no. Don't say no. This doesn't mean that we let people do whatever they want. Obviously, it doesn't mean that. But new people, a lot of times, they do not know what's off limits, and we take for granted the years of experience we have, and they ask a question that seems dumb. And instead of just saying no, say things like, yes, here's how we can accomplish that. So let's say they say, well, hey, I want to go, let's say they call you, Tori, and say, I want to speak to Paul Roberts directly. Instead of saying, no, he does not have time for that right now. He's booked up. Say, yeah, let's get that done. Here's where he has an open format where he's talking to a group of people. We'd love for you to join in. So instead of saying no, let's find a way to say yes and redirect them towards how it can be more profitable for the company. Give people clear direction with a yes instead of no. A lot of times when you ask somebody a question, they simply would just say no. And when they say no, they leave you with nothing else to do. So if they call you and ask you something, can you learn to say, yes, here's how we accomplish it? You don't have to accomplish it the way that they want to accomplish it. Your goal is to increase the premium. So saying yes to them and redirecting them towards something that's going to help them move forward, that's the purpose you're trying to accomplish. Another thing in the subject of no is no negative signage. Look around your office and look for things that turn people away. No entrance, no whatever allowed. Look for things that are making people feel unwelcome and try to replace those with things that are pointing people in directions you want them to go. So instead of saying no access here, maybe put a sign and say meeting room this direction. It's just the difference of a negative signage. How we're doing so many things on Zoom now. So you should be paying attention to what's going on behind you on your Zoom call. What could you put as your wallpaper behind you that would encourage people instead of pushing people away? So don't say the word no, don't say the word can't. And then thirdly, don't say I don't know. Don't say I don't know. It breeds mistrust in people when somebody that's supposed to know the answer doesn't know the answer or doesn't give an option to know the answer. This doesn't mean that you have to know everything, and it definitely doesn't mean that you're supposed to make up an answer. Here's what you say instead. Instead, say, let me find out. Let me help you figure that out. Let's get in touch with the right person so we can get this taken care of. Expressing your ignorance doesn't reflect well on you or your organization. You may not know the answer to something, and that's 100% okay. But that doesn't give you the right just to say, I don't know, good luck finding out. We had the opportunity with the company to go down to Grand Cayman and stay at the Ritz. And that was a pretty cool experience. And one of the interesting things there was if you asked them, well, let's say you walk in and you say, hey, where's the nearest bathroom? They're not allowed to point. They have to take you and walk you to the restroom because that's their customer service. That's the way they treat people. It's not that they feel like I would get lost on the way to the bathroom, which that place was really big. So the odds were kind of heavy that I would get lost on the way to the bathroom. That's not what they were fearing of. They were more interested in the way they make me feel than the task that I had asked them to accomplish. Why is that? Because they want me to come back. Because if I come back, I spend more money. So it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, but it does mean when somebody asks you a question, you have the right and the duty to help them get that answer. Help them figure that out. Take them to the right person. Don't just direct them on, send them someplace. Help them figure it out. Why? You want them to come back. See, when people feel like they're loved and appreciated, they perform. When people perform, the premium goes up. So what you want to do as a staff person in your office or working from your home is you want to make people feel appreciated and loved and like they're in the right place. When they call you, call the DMV and try to talk to those people. They hate what they're doing, and they hate the fact that you called them. And sometimes if we're not careful, when agents call us, that's the way we answer the phone. And so if we're teaching people that we don't want them to call, in other words, we're teaching them we don't want their business. Doesn't mean that we have to talk to people all the time. People got to get work done. But if they feel like we don't want them to call us, eventually they feel like we don't want their premium either, which hurts our numbers. You get to decide the way you make them feel. When you treat people with value and respect, they in turn will act with value and respect for themselves. When you start treating somebody with value and respect, they'll start respecting themselves. And when people respect themselves, they work more. And when people work more, the premium goes up. I don't know if you've ever been to Disney World. I unfortunately took my children about a year ago, and they were far too young, and we spent far too much money, and I was far too exhausted. But Disney World is a magical place. Why? Not because it's an amusement park. It's because of the way they make you feel when you get there. Their staff members are called, I think it's cast members. They're not just employees. They treat you a certain way when you're there. Everything's exciting and everybody's smiling, and I know they don't want to be smiling. The way they make you feel makes it a magical place, all the way from the second you get on the bus until you get back home. So let me ask you this question. The agents, your staff person working in the office for someone, the agents that you're dealing with, when they talk to you, is it a magical experience because of the way you make them feel? Or is it just another person that they have to call? Another person that has to check all the boxes, so they got to get something done. Because you have the right to make them feel a certain way that breeds loyalty to your brand and to your company. You get to choose that. Most people let other people's responses choose that for them. So if somebody's mad, then they're mad. If somebody's screaming at them, they scream back. You get to decide the way you respond to them. And the way you respond to them will breed loyalty or it'll breed disloyalty. Now, I'll remind you, the jobs increase the premium. I remember at one time, a long time ago, I had an agent that I was having trouble with, and I was just aggravated with, and I'm sure that only happens to me. And I remember talking to Andy about it, and he explained it to me like this: do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? And he said, you got to pick which one you want. And he said, if you want to be rich, we're not about proving that other person right. We're about creating an environment where they're going to feel loved and appreciated so they keep selling and sell more. This doesn't mean that we have to put up with their problems, but it does mean that our goal is to get them to write more insurance and to build their business and have financial freedom. Our goal is not to beat them into submission. And sometimes that's all we want to do to people. So I want to encourage you over the next 7 days, what I want you to do, I want you to eliminate the word can't, eliminate the word no, and eliminate the words I don't know. I want you to replace those with words that encourage people to sell more insurance. I want you to replace those with words that encourage people to put more effort, to work harder at what they're doing, and it makes them want to reach back out. You do not need the agents that you're working with to not want to call or reach out to your group because of the way you treat them. Whether they're good, bad, or ugly, does not matter. It's your responsibility to treat them in such a way where they want to sell insurance instead of not wanting to sell insurance. So don't say can't, don't say no, don't say I know. You get to choose the way you make other people feel and the experience they have when they reach out to you. Thank you for jumping on, and then we'll do this again next week at 2 p.m. Eastern. Talk to you soon.